Yeah, I want to talk today about things that beekeepers must stop. I've got 10 things and a bonus one if I remember at the end. Number one, we need to stop relying on old myths. Now, one of the old myths that still gets kicked around beekeeping communities is this idea that if you have laying workers, and those are workers that start laying eggs in the absence of queen or brood pheromone, and they lay unfertilized eggs are drones. And the old myth says if you shake all your bees out 20 yards out in the hive, the laying workers aren't able to fly back in. That myth has been busted. Laying workers are foragers, they'll beat you back to the hive. Other people oftentimes will say, I lost my hive to wax moths. Now, that's not true either. Wax moths are the cleanup crew. They come in and clean up all the wax after your colony died from something else. And so you've got to stop putting the blame in their own place when you lose your bees and you see wax moth. Wax moth didn't cause it to happen. Also, I hear a lot of people say that their bees died from cold weather. Now, we know that's not true because not all the bees die, right? In a winter, like right now, I think the statistic says about 50% of bees die every winter. So, that means 50% are not dying from cold weather. So it's not necessarily the cold weather, but it's the things that we failed to prepare for winter that caused our bees to die. So we must stop saying the wrong things. We must stop pointing the finger at the wrong things, or else we'll never be able to take the right action to prevent it and the next year around. And the other thing is trachea mites. Now, we don't hear a lot said about trachea mites. When I was trying to become a certified master beekeeper with the Eastern Apicultural Society, I remember we had that on our test. We actually had to show the procedure or talk through the procedure of performing a trachea mite test on a bee. And so, we had to do this work on a dead bee. We had to actually put it under a microscope and take off the head and the neck area and go down to the trachea area and start looking for mites through a dissecting microscope. So I actually practiced that a lot, memorized it for the test. I looked up an old test and I saw that was a question on an old test and it might be back again, right? So I practiced at home doing trachea mite tests. Now we need to stop thinking trachea mites are gone. They're not. We need to stop thinking that our current mite treatments kill trachea mites too. Not all of them do. The biggest thing that really helps trachea mites, by the way, is like thymol or Tymol, however you want to say it. So that would be like Apiguard, or grease patties. Believe it or not, grease patties interfere with the trachea mites. If you put a hamburger size of grease patty mixed with powdered sugar, that's been an old standby treatment for trachea mites. But this morning I was involved in a master beekeeper forum where we were talking about some bees that died in said state, and upon inspecting them, they noticed that they all had trachea mites, and the beekeeper said they were using oxalic acid. Oxalic acid does not kill trachea mites. That's amazing in it. So if you're using just one type of treatment, that's something you got to stop immediately. I mean, you've got to have a variety of treatments, not just so that you can kill more things like trachea mites and viral mites, but so that the mites don't become resistant to one type of treatment. And each treatment is going to have a little better effect. So don't just get stuck on one treatment. And I was surprised in the number of people in this forum, entomologists, PhDs, certified master beekeepers, that had a lot to say about why they didn't like oxalic acid for several of these reasons that we mentioned. So I know a lot of people, I'm not stepping on toes here. I know a lot of you love oxalic acid. It has its benefit. It is a good, a good thing to use. A lot of people live by it, but just know it has its downsides to it. It doesn't kill below the cap brood. It doesn't kill trachea mites, things like that. Okay. All right. Let me move on here to our next thing we need to stop doing. You know what? We really need to stop following equipment and gadgets and start following your bees. Let me explain that. It's so easy to get so excited about the next new hive, the next piece of equipment. Did you hear about this thing that everybody's talking about? Oh my gosh, this is the next answer for everything, right? Or this new gadget that's supposed to kill small hive beetle or varroa mites, or it's supposed to do this and that. And we want the easy way out. I think that's why a lot of people love the gadgets. And but it's better if we can learn to start following our bees. And what I mean by that, our bees, and once we get to know bees and understand how bees function, the bee biology, once we know how our bees interact in the hive with each other, with us, with their comb, with the honey flow, with the seasons, the different seasons the bees are on. Once we learn that about bees, we don't really have to follow the equipment and the gadgets. Isn't that exciting? I'm not saying I don't have some gadgets and some cool equipment with bees. I do, and I do like it. And sometimes it makes it a tiny bit more convenient. But when it comes down to it, I'll just be honest. When it comes right down to it, all you need is a bee box, some frames, a hive tool, a smoker, and a hat and a veil, maybe some gloves. And you can get by with bees pretty good. You don't need, I mean, all those other things we think are going to save the day. So spend time instead of investing a lot of effort and time and money in all these other equipment and gadgets. Spend that time following your bees, learning your bees on their schedule. Another thing that beekeepers must stop doing is stop ignoring the need for inspections. It's so easy, isn't it, to not want to inspect your bees or inspect them as often as you need to, because you don't want to go out there. It's hot and it's dry and bees will start robbing. The last inspections that we did a couple of days ago, it's in a dearth right now, and a lot of my bees got pretty cranky. First time my videographer, Patrick, got stung since he's been working with me all year. Got stung on the hand, and I got stung on the ear. It's just like those things happen. I mean, one time I had 3 or 4 mites or 3 or 4 bees in my hat and veil. It was wild. We took one hive all the way down apart to the bottom deep, and bees were everywhere. They weren't happy. So, but that's no reason to stop inspections. We still need to inspect our bees all the way up until the point we can. Right now, we're monitoring mites. We're treating for mites. We're looking for our queen, making sure that she's got good brood patterns going into winter. So really now, it's probably more important now to see how things keep going than back, in the summer. Another thing we need to stop believing honeybees will find their own food. We need to feed our bees. This means I really believe we should feed our bees in the spring, in the fall, and all winter long. Let me talk about, all of you know about spring feeding. Fall feeding is kind of new to some people, although I've been doing it for well over a decade, 1-to-1 sugar water. We used to do 2-to-1 to build up honey supply in the hive. But, the winter feed, it never gained a lot of traction, I don't think, until just recently. And there's a lot of things out there now. A lot of different companies are selling fondant. And back when I started with my winter bee kinds, which is a very similar item to a fondant, there wasn't a lot of people on the bandwagon. But now more and more people you see are feeding their bees some type of fondant or candy boards in the wintertime. And wow, has it made a difference. So let's stop telling ourselves that our bees don't need food. And here's why. All right, real quick, let me just tell you, in Illinois, we have our last, our first hard freeze in October. It will kill all the goldenrod, all the asters. So there's nothing for bees. Even though it may be warm enough, they won't have anything to go to. October, November, December, January, February, March is when we'll start seeing maple trees bloom. 6 months of nothing. And 3 of those months, October, November, December, my bees have nothing. They're only eating what's on board. Some people say my bees have honey in the hive. That's all they need. They need their honey. My bees can eat through their honey in those 3 months because sometimes it's warm enough and they're active. So they go all the way to December the 21st, first day of winter, and they're almost empty of food of their own resources. Depends on where you live, but that's the dynamic of why I feed my bees. And I have to feed them in the wintertime because they eat their food all up before winter happens. Another thing is we need to stop using entrance feeders. I've preached on this before, especially in the fall. Entrance feeders were really all we had in the beginning, but we've kind of gotten away from them. They will cause robbing so badly. So don't do that. We need to stop believing that bees know best. Just let the bees work it out. If we leave them alone, they will naturally just adapt to all the things that are happening. No, they haven't, and they won't. You can't strip bees of all of their natural resources and put in buildings and parking lots and spray all the dandelions so your yard looks beautiful and expect bees to adapt. I mean, we're taking away their food, their resources. We can't expect them to adapt. You can't adapt if you're starved to death, okay? So bees are faced with a lot more pests and diseases that are new to our country here in the US. And so they can't adapt. And if they do, it will take a long time, a lot longer than we're going to live. And so we have to get it, roll up our sleeves and jump right in there and say the bees aren't going to work it out. We got to come alongside our bees and help them out with their pests and diseases and the lack of floral sources out there. Hey, here's a good one. We need to stop using old, unknown equipment. Now, I said unknown because if you don't know the source of your old equipment that you got out of somebody sold on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and you bought all this old beekeeping equipment and it looks pretty gross, the frames are brittle and yucky, spider webs and all that, you don't know the history of it. It could be that the bees died from American foul brood. And we know those spores of American foul brood can live on those frames for well up into 60, 70, 80 years. And so it's very likely that those frames that have been sitting in an attic or a barn somewhere could be infected with a very deadly and contagious brood disease that as soon as you put your bees in there, boom, your bees are going to get it and die. So unless you know for sure that the used equipment that you've obtained is clean, that means they didn't have, the bees that were in it previously did not have a serious disease. You probably want to stay away from reusing old equipment just to save a buck. Because if you get old equipment and it's infected and you save money, you're going to lose the money that you spent on your bees when they die. Number 8, we need to stop thinking that natural beekeeping means hands off. It doesn't mean that at all. Some people think that natural beekeeping means you just catch bees, put them in a box, never look at them again. People that I know, and I have some EAS certified master beekeeper friends who are natural beekeepers that I highly respect, and they are very good beekeepers, but they don't treat their bees for mites with the chemicals that were most commonly known. Instead, they have more natural methods that they use to control the mites. They have very natural methods that they use to work their bees. So they're still doing the same things that all the other beekeepers are doing, but they're just doing it in their minds in a more natural way. And the ones that I know are having very good success. So natural beekeeping does not mean, stop thinking that it means hands off, do nothing. That's not what natural beekeeping is. And it's not what it should be either. Number 9, we need to stop following one size fits all. I see this a lot now. I really do. What I mean by one size fits all, it means that maybe you get into your favorite personality on YouTube. I know I'm shooting myself in the foot. Or maybe your favorite entomologist or your favorite Facebook group or something, and you get caught up in your one person. And this one person has their idea, and that one person is making you feel like you need to do it my way or you're an idiot. Now, I never claim that. I have a strong belief in what I practice and believe in, but as you know, sometimes I change my opinion or I change my mind when science shows otherwise. So I'm always adapting to new things that are I'm enlightened by. But if you have one person that you're following and excluding everything else, or one bit of knowledge that you have, and you're not open-minded to any other knowledge anymore about bees, that can be detrimental. You can miss out. If you're closed-minded on all the other places out here except this one place, you're going to miss out. So one thing doesn't apply to everybody, right? Even some of the things that I may do here in Illinois may not apply in the same way that it applies where you live. So one size doesn't always fit all. And number 10, stop neglecting genetic diversity. And what I mean by that is I really like the genetic diversity many, many years ago, maybe a decade or two ago. I remember Keith Delaplane talking about the importance of a queen that can mate with a lot of drones on her mating flight. That genetic diversity in that queen is going to produce a better offspring. And I really got excited, and I'm still excited about that. I think genetic diversity, that queen mates with a lot more drones. There's a lot more in the gene pool, and that hive is more able to adapt to a lot of things that it might find itself fighting. And so genetic diversity, I think, is really good instead of just getting a real strict line of queens. I like a queen that I don't know what else to call her, but she's a mutt. You know what I mean? She is a mutt, but she's a very good laying queen, good overwinter characteristics. She's free of diseases and pests. She keeps mite levels low on her own. So her genetics. So a mutt, just for me, does a lot better. So stop neglecting the need for genetic diversity. And the bonus one that I wanted to give tonight, let me get this cleaned up out of the way here, remove it, put me back in the middle. That I want to say that we need to stop thinking that robbing isn't all that big of a deal. Oh my gosh. I have spoken on this several times on the live stream here. This is the time that we need to ring the warning. Ding, 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 ding. This is robbing season. It really is. The other day, I was on a Zoom meeting right here, and Sherry was out, and I can see through the doors here. She was out there filling up buckets with sugar water. So I'm thinking, I know what that means. Well, when I came out to be on the Zoom meeting, I noticed bees were everywhere. They weren't on anything that had sugar on them, but they were on my chairs outdoors. They were on my side of my wall, flying around everywhere, looking for things. And it got worse as the day went on. Sherry went out there and filled up buckets of sugar water, and she used Honeybee Healthy to entice them with that smell. And she lured them to the back of the building where they just gulped down the sugar water, and they stopped all the robbing. I had two hives back over here. They didn't rob them, but they were flying around them. These are strong colonies. They were fighting them off. But Sherry instantly stopped the robbing. I was so impressed. I've never seen robbing stopped so fast in my life. So if you have robbing, you're going to have to call Sherry up. I don't know how she did it. And then I went back the next day, and I said, all those buckets you put back there, they're totally empty now. There's not a drop of sugar water in those. So anyway, stop underestimating the tragedy of robbing. They can take your house over. They can take over your garage. If you leave, I'm telling you, just take my word for it. New beginners, take my word for it. If you leave one drop of honey, the size of a drop, you know what I mean? Outdoors somewhere, on your chair outdoors, on your car, in your garage with the door open. Oh my gosh, before long, you will see thousands of bees getting that one drop. Come on. You know that's true. Those of you that are experienced beekeepers, you got your stories of mistakes we've all made. We've left the door open to the extracting room, and before long, you can't find the walls anymore. It's covered with bees. So you got to stop underestimating robbing and start taking the measures right now with robber screens, feeding your bees. If it's legal in your state, feed your bees off from where your bees are really far away. Give them something to go out there and actually get, so they don't have to do all the robbing. It can be pretty tough, that's for sure. Wow. All right. Well, that's what I want to share with you guys tonight. And leave a comment. Take a moment right now. I'll ask, I don't want to make anybody, but I'll ask Sherry and Robbie and Jessica if you guys can start posting some comments right now. Leave a comment of other things that you think beekeepers should stop doing. What are beekeepers doing now? This might be more experienced beekeepers, but what should beekeepers stop doing that's probably not a good idea? Anybody got some good ideas on that? What do you think? I want to give you a chance to tell me what you think beekeepers should stop doing. Because when I was thinking about this list, I thought of a lot of things actually, and some of those I just didn't want to talk about on my live stream. But there's a lot of things that beekeepers need to stop doing. Anybody got anything comes to your mind? Anything? I was going to say one of the things that I also see is that is it over inspection? Oh, I think we can over inspect. Yeah, Gene. I think we can, be too much in the hives like every day looking for the same thing. Yeah, we can over inspect. We need to stop that one too. Yep, blaming cold weather, dry weather. Yep, that's right. I mentioned that. We need to stop blaming the cold. That's so easy to do, isn't it? Oh, it was cold. My bees should have. We don't want to take responsibility. It's a cold weather, right? Stop thinking you don't have mites and neglecting to test. Oh, Carrie, thank you. And thanks for coming out the other day. That was great. Carrie, that's a good one. That should have been on my presentation. And a long time ago, that's what all beekeepers thought. I don't have them. I can't see them. Stop not using your smoker, Shane. Excellent. Wow. I love that. Yeah, I love my smoker. Yep, entrance feeding. I mentioned that one. That one's just kind of gone by the wayside. That's not practiced much at all anymore. Stop thinking your way is the only way. Absolutely, Donna. We need to stay open-minded. I believe that so much. Yep, good one. Guys got some good ones. Asking the price others charge for honey. It doesn't matter, does it? Charge what you need to get out of it, what you feel like you want to offer your honey for. Be done with it, right? Hey, Maryanne, treating for mites without testing. Yeah, I like that one. I mean, you can do that, but it's not going to give you good data points, is it? You need to know what you got, how you need to treat it, and then test again, see if the treatment worked. Trying to force late season splits. Hey, this is a big one. Thank you for that one. Sherry is a real proponent of not selling nukes or packages in the summer and fall, late summer and fall. People do that. And that Sherry doesn't, I don't like it either. I wouldn't sell a nuke to somebody late in the year because they don't have a chance to get it through winter. Stop not wearing appropriate protection, setting a bad example to new beekeepers. Thanks, Kathy. That's a good one. Absolutely. There are some times that I wear more protection than I need to just because I'm making a video and I don't want to give the wrong impression. Absolutely. You'll see me wear gloves sometimes for that very reason. Not doing research before starting the hobby. It's sad people start uneducated and then fail with a bunch of dead bees. Oh, thank you so much. I love that. Oh my gosh, you guys are so right. So right. But it's so commonly practiced. Oh my gosh. These were good points. Stop using tools you use on feral hives on your own hives because there could be diseases transferred. Yeah, you never know what could happen, right? Clean equipment. Absolutely. Gary, stop listening to people that only think they know bees and give bad advice because they're just popular and pretty. Hey, I'm popular and well, I don't know if I'm popular, but aren't I pretty? No, that's a good point. And people do that. I know. Oh, Brenda, I need to stop doubting myself and follow my instincts. I have done so well keeping bees by my own instinct, coupled with my bee biology knowledge, of course, but absolutely right. Good job, Brenda. Gosh, not doing research. Yeah, we had that one. Yep. All right. Well, that's probably enough. You guys really responded to that. Boy, if there's any way that I can copy these out of this chat, I want to save those. You guys were on the ball with that. Wow. All right. Let's have your question time. I'd like to hear what's on your mind with what kind of questions you may be wrestling with. Oh, hey, Chad. How do I stop robbing if it started already? Thank you. We need to pop Sherry in here and let her tell. What Sherry did is I've promoted this too, that to prevent it, just set up some open feeders really far away from your hives. Now, some states, I've been told Tennessee doesn't allow this. Some states may not let you open feed. But if you can set up some feeders really far away, then bees are more apt to go to that sugar water rather than try to beat up some hives at a door to get in there. It's easier to take it free than have to break into a hive. That's one way to do it. Of course, use robber screens. Robber screens are so good to keep robbers out. Yep. Hey, Pam, can I move wet or unfinished frames to the wall, or shall I take them out for winter? I'm in Central North Carolina, first year Southern bee. Can I move wet or unfinished frames to the wall, or Yeah, if you only have one or two and they're against the wall, I think your cluster isn't going to nail itself against a wall. So I would say that one of them against the wall. Some of my bees go through winter. Oftentimes, that frame against the wall may not even be pulled out. I think you're pretty safe to do that if it's just kind of one or two against the wall like that, especially North Carolina. Hey, Patrick, my bees are going crazy for sugar and pollen, sugar syrup and pollen. If I'm successful and my bees population is substantial coming spring, won't that cause the bees to be more prone to swarm? Absolutely, it will. You betcha. Every healthy colony, whether it's overpopulated or not, every healthy colony should swarm in the spring. That's the only way that we can have more bees in our whole climate is by bees reproducing in a swarm. Of course it will. They'll be healthier. And you'll just have to manage that. Be glad about it. Make a split before they swarm. Hey, Glenn, when feeding during the dearth, how do you know when it's time to stop? I'm scared they're going to fill all the frames and the queen won't have space to lay. We get this question asked 2 or 3 times a day. I don't know if that's true, but Glenn, we get it asked a lot. People are concerned about that. Best thing I recommend is watch it. I've never had that happen to me. I'll feed my bees and they just drink it down. They're using it to function, not so much storage anyway. So just watch your frames and see what they're doing. See if they are storing it, that means they probably don't need it to function and you might want to back off a little bit. Yeah. Hey, Mark, is it better to feed 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 for fall feeding, Central Wisconsin? Well, welcome, Mark, to David Burns. This must be the first time you've heard a lot of my teachings because well over a decade or two, I've been teaching 1-to-1 in the fall, contrary to the old paradigm of 2-to-1 in the fall, because what I want to do is raise bees of winter physiology. 1-to-1 is more like the nectar coming in a thin syrup, and that prompts the queen to lay a lot more. Hey, Mike, thanks for your donation tonight to the live stream. Appreciate that. Live stream is only available because you guys make it so by being here and helping the cause if you can. If you can't, we still appreciate you being here. Fred says, if you have brood to the side of the brood box, do you move it to the center? I don't like moving my frames around because I figure the bees know what they're doing. I mean, they seem to put it there for a reason. Although I do like it when all my brood is in the center. Most of the time it is. So you might experiment, Fred, and see if you can get more of that outside brood to the center of the colony. Yeah, wouldn't hurt anything. No. Hey, Patrick, I saw you had a number 1. So number 2, I want to do a demarrase split coming spring. Will the extra large population cause this to be more difficult? Yes, absolutely. I can tell by the way you're asking it, it's going to be more difficult to you because you already know that a large population, by your wording it, is more difficult. So absolutely, the more bees you have, the more bees you have to manage. The more splits, the more boxes, a little more difficult. But otherwise, you're going to let them swarm and you won't have to deal with the difficulty of a larger colony. And you have to weigh out which do you want, a smaller colony or a bigger one. Hey, Leah, good to see you. Happy almost fall, Papa and Nana. Vera, Seth, I love y'all. Hi, guys. Love to see my granddaughter, Vera, on the live stream. Love that she watches us. I'm blushing. I think I look red already. I don't know. I was out in the sun working on my lawnmower this afternoon. Oh, okay. Back to the questions. Good evening. I just collected a small cluster of bees that I believe to have absconded from their home. I have them in a 5-frame nuke. Can they survive the winter? Typically speaking, no. And I don't know where you live. You could live really cold or really warm. So I don't know how to answer that completely. But here in Illinois, it would be hard for me to get my 5-frame nuke. I know there's people that do it. I understand people love to do it. You might be able to do it, but I would say it's below 50% chance that they'll make it. Well, what do I know? Hi, David. Hey, Johnny. Thank you. Had a very successful harvest this year, which I attribute to your winter bee kind that I used this past winter. Pulled 6 gallons of honey off 2 hives colony this year. Well, thank you, Johnny. We appreciate that. Yeah, feeding bees in the winter sure does the trick for me. You know, it may not work for everybody. I'm not saying it's the only way, but it's the only thing that I'll ever do till I die. That's right. Well, barefoot. Don't walk across your clover patch barefooted. Wood roaches in a hive. Should I move all frames to a different hive box and cover? I wonder if the wood roaches are just walking around, or are they into wood? If they're just walking around, I've never had them bother my bees. You know what I mean? My bees just keep them out of there. I see them sometimes, but they don't get in where the bees are. Same with a lot of little things. So keep an eye if they're getting in the bees. Yeah, you need new equipment. Hey, Susan, thank you for your super sticker tonight. Your donation is much appreciated. I appreciate that a lot. Hi, Bethany. Feeding sugar water and hive alive. We checked after a week. The bees really went eating it. They weren't eating it. The hive smelled. Some bees died, and other bees around the hive seemed very sluggish. What's wrong? I don't know. Feeding sugar water and Hive Alive. I've never used Hive Alive. I've tested it, and I'm not going to reveal the answer to my tests and all, but people use it and they like it. It could be other reasons other than the feeding that your bees may have died. It could be robbing that you didn't see. They could have got into fall pesticides or something. Sorry to hear that. That's just too bad. Yeah. Hey, Cindy, I took off my honey supers in northern Maine last week and then had 80-degree days. The bees have been feisty since then, coming after us if we walk near the hives. Will they settle back down? You know what? I see that. I know, Cindy. I wish I could remember. I was in a talk or sharing with one of my friends, an entomologist, and he was talking about ants. Ants have these guard ants, and I can't remember the name of them. I tried to remember the other day. Century ants or something, but they're larger in size. They're really big, and they just beat up intruders and all. And there's this theory that bees may have these more defensive guard bees, not bigger in size, but a little more defensive. And I call them perimeter. You know, in the military, you have a perimeter, a large perimeter, and they get smaller as where the compound is, but you might have guards way outside the perimeter, scoping things out. But anyway, bees have perimeter guards. So they'll make a wide sweep. Yeah, and they'll get you. I got stung on the back of the neck, Cindy, the same thing you're talking about. I didn't have a hat and a veil on, just walking in my backyard by my hives. And there was one following me that I thought, oh, she'll stop. Nope, she died, bombed me. They're just in that time of the year where they do that. Hey, Matthew, thank you for your super sticker. Yeah, in the fall, you'll see that. Bees are just a little more cranky, a little more defensive. They have a lot more to defend in the fall. We're in South Carolina. Is there a reason why we could not provide high protein powder substitute during winter? High protein powder substitute in the winter. I think you could. I think if you had a way to deliver it, we deliver it through our candy intake to simulate when they ingest the food, they get the pollen like they do in nectar. But I'm not sure how you would get them to eat that pollen in the wintertime. I've heard of people taking empty frames out of their hives and pouring the powder into the cells and then putting it back in there. Experiment with that. But boy, yeah, the bees do need protein in the wintertime. I think that's a big fly, not a bee around me. All right. Yeah, that is a big fly. One of those big black ones, you know. First year in Minnesota here. Minnesota. It appears that my bees are close to being honeybound. I only have empty, not drawn out frames. Wait a minute. I only have empty, not drawn out frames. How can I best provide them so they draw out new comb? Ooh, Rachel, I'm sorry. Minnesota is going to be tough to get frames drawn out this late in the game. It really is. You're further north and colder than me. It's not going to happen. I mean, you could try to feed them and see, but I think you have what you have right now. How are they honeybound? You mean some frames are honeybound, but not all, and the ones that aren't, they haven't drawn out. Can you harvest a few of the honeybound frames and give the queen more room to lay, maybe, if you can spare a few? But yeah, the ones that aren't drawn out are not going to get drawn out. You'll hear me say that all our frames have to be drawn out by May, June, the latest July. Yep. Work hard at that. Work hard to get your frames out by July, drawn out. I had to check my time. I'm having so much fun. Hey, Gary, I had a questions. 90-degree days for a month with no rain at all, and everything as dry as can be. Yeah. Robbie was just telling me in Indiana, he's gone 31 days without rain. But I have noticed it seems there are no mites either. I wonder. Now, wait a minute. You said it seems there are no mites. Have you done a test? I'd like to know numbers. So if you've done an alcohol wash, what were those numbers? Because, no, it shouldn't matter if it's dry or not. Dry or wet, it should not make any difference on mite population. Not at all. No. Some people think that, but no. They're going to reproduce as your bees reproduce. Hey, Deb, what do you think about adding a couple of drops of food grade thyme or thyme essential oils to a cup of pure powdered sugar? Let it age for a week or so for dusting bees in the hive. That isn't, I'm glad to answer that question, Deb. And I'll tell you what, these are things that I don't do. I'm not going to put anybody down for doing it. I'm not going to criticize and say that's not a good practice. If that's something that somebody wants to try, I think go for it. However, the reason I don't do that is simply because I know there are much more better, efficient, legal treatments that are proven to be, they have an efficacy. We use that word efficacy. That means how effective they are. And some of those are 98% efficacy of killing mites. And so I'm not going to try to use something that I don't know the efficacy rate on, if I do know one. And really, is it legal? I mean, you need to be able to treat things legally. Hey, Rich, thank you for your super sticker. But I appreciate your question. And I know that a lot of people try different things, but you need to really monitor if it works or not. Hey, Mike, should I feed bees all they will take of 1-to-1 syrup? My concern is they will not have room for brood if I give them too much. I am in northern climate and use 2 brood boxes. Hey, Mike, good question. I appreciate your concern. You're being a good citizen scientist to having that knowledge of concern. And the best way to know the answer is monitor your bees. Feed them for a couple of weeks and then keep track of what you have in your boxes. And then come back in 2 weeks after they've consumed a lot and see if it is being pushed into the cells or not. And then you'll know. That's the best way to be able to feed your bees the way you should be feeding them. Elena, thank you for your donation tonight. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad to share my bee knowledge. Hey, Carrie, first time here. Oh, well, welcome to the live stream, Carrie. Longtime follower here on YouTube. Thank you so much. My bees hardly touch the 1-to-1 with additives. Why is that? Okay, Carrie, there can be several reasons. I normally see that they don't touch it when they have their own resources out there. Like some of my hives now I'm feeding and they guzzle it down. Other hives aren't. And it's because if you watch, they're coming in with kind of a yellow color pollen off the goldenrod. So some colonies have a bigger forage force that are going out and gathering the fall forage, the fall nectar. Some aren't. And so it could be that your bees just don't need it. They have other stuff that they prefer. Let's face it, bees really should bring natural resources in. That's what we want, right? I mean, any of us that are dehydrated and sick and about to die, we need an IV. But if we don't need an IV for supper every night, we'd rather have fruit and vegetables. Bees are the same way. They're going to go for what's more natural. But when it's not there, the supplements do a great job. Hey, Maryanne, 2-week hives, both have queens. I want to combine. Should I dispose of one and let the other duke it out, or let the other duke it out? I can't tell which is stronger. No, I don't want both. I don't personally let 2 duke it out because sometimes they sting each other when they're duking it out, and they both can kill each other, or they both can be so seriously injured that neither survive the battle. And that's why I don't like to do that. It might work. I know they do that when they're kind of like these swarm cells and they get out, these virgin queens get out early. That happens. And sometimes they all get killed too. I would say if you can't determine which one is the strongest, just use your better judgment, instinct, and dispose of one queen and combine them. You'll do a good job with it. Hey, Mark, thank you for your super sticker on the live stream tonight. Appreciate it so much. I'm going to take a couple of more questions and then I'm going to have a giveaway coming up. Hey, David, longtime listener, first time caller. Is there a database of VSH breeders and their associated Harbro assay results? That's interesting. I'm sure there is. I know of several of them by name. I really respect the work of John Harbro that he's done over the years. Fantastic work on getting VSH. And I followed his work a long time ago, back when I was doing that kind of work with my bees. Yeah. And but they're out there. I just start talking, Google it and see what you can find. Yep. Hey, Dana, can I feed pollen out of the hive in a feeder and feed 1-to-1 syrup with the additives you tell us to use, or pollen just in the syrup? Yes, all of those will work. Sometimes, Dana, I'll just have a board out there really far away from my hives with just pollen powder in it. And in the spring and sometimes fall, but really in the spring, they'll go for that. And other times I'll feed them really far away. I'll use an entrance feeder really far away so my bees aren't in a big open barrel, and they can go in the entrance feeder away from hives. It's just out on board somewhere. They can fly in there in the little entrance feeder and guzzle up the sugar water with the protein powder mixed in it. It's a entrance feeder, open feeder kind of thing. Hey, Alex, thank you for your donation tonight. Thank you for everything you guys do for us. Highly appreciate it. Well, Alex, thank you so much. I highly appreciate you. And I'm glad that you're finding value from the videos. Appreciate it. Yeah. All right, let's give a giveaway, okay? The giveaway tonight, as you can see, this live stream is known as Beak Squad. Beak is my handle here on YouTube, and you're the squad because you hang out with me, so we call you the Beak Squad. We're going to be giving away a Beak Squad coffee mug. Beak Squad, and it's got my picture and Sherry on the back there. And so you can get one of our coffee mugs today, and it's going to be #cup. If you would leave that comment or leave that phrase in the comment section, #cup, lowercase, multiple entries don't improve your chances to win tonight, but you'll have a chance to win a coffee mug. And after you win, we'll give you an address where you can write us and tell us where to ship the Beak Squad coffee mug. And if you want to have other Beak Squad apparel, we do have that. And Candy has a website that she has a lot of our stuff on, most everything that we have on her website. Maybe Robbie can put that website up as a banner back there. Yeah, there it is. So honeybeesonline.com, or email her at creationsbycandy@gmail.com. But this is the website where Candy takes care of a lot of the things like shirts with Beak Squads or hats. I think there's tumblers with Beak Squad on it, but you can be a part of the Beak Squad. But tonight we're giving away a cup, Beak Squad, cup. So #cup tonight. I'll be a giveaway. We've got another giveaway coming up, so don't go anywhere. All right. All right, Robbie, let's see. They're still coming in. A few more seconds here. We'll get a few more of you coming in. Appreciate you being here tonight. Hope you've enjoyed the live stream so far. A lot more going on. And let's go ahead and spin it, Robbie, and see who is going to win tonight. Yeah. All right. Look at the names going by. I recognize many of those names. All right. Slowing down. Here we go. Getting slow. Oh, Christine Lane. You're the winner of the Beak Squad Cup. Just like it says at the bottom of the screen here, if you win, Christine, you won. So you need to email us within the next 24 hours at longlanehoneybees@gmail.com. That's a winner email. If you email us anybody else who emails us there, you won't get a response. So don't waste your time. It's for our winner email only. So email us, Christine, and we'll get that cup sent out. All right. Very good. That's awesome. All right, let's take a few more questions, and then we'll do another giveaway in just a minute. Oh, Homer, JR, good to see you. I had the privilege of meeting JR in person. That was nice. Two-part, I'm located in central Indiana. When I open isolated cage, the queen flew. Never, ever had this happen. Anything I could have done. Well, I think sometimes when you do cage a queen, they don't feed her as much and she gets more lightweight, kind of like how they prepare her before they swarm. And so I would say 90% of the time she flies back in her hive. I've made several videos filming this process in slow-mo. So she'll fly and get airborne and buzz around. She flies kind of noisy like a drone, but there's a 90% chance she flies right back in. She has nowhere to go. And I assume, obviously, you caged her, so she was mated. And so she doesn't need to go anywhere. So you might wait a week, JR, and see if she's back in there. Fingers crossed. But that's what happens. They get a little bit lighter weighted when they're caged like that. Yep. Absolutely. All right. Any more questions? Couple of more questions, and then we're going to do the spin the wheel and another giveaway coming up. I heard you talk about winter bees. Is there a difference in their physical makeup? Thanks. Physiologically, there's a difference. So yeah, they do live longer, and they are not foragers. They don't go through the whole work progress of scheduling their work like they normally do in the spring and the summer. So in other words, they don't go through a cycle of this many days they're going to be a house bee, this many days they'll be a nurse bee. So it's a physiological change, but no, you wouldn't recognize it physically on the outside of the bee. It's all internal. They live 4 to 8 months, and bees in the summer only live about 45 days. Let's do spin the wheel. I don't see, always like to spin the wheel, see what kind of things can happen. In my Zoom meeting that I had, this was still in the scene, and they had fun looking at it. All right, let's give it a spin and see what happens tonight. Where's it going to land? A lot of options here. Oh, bloopers. Bloopers. You get to see some bloopers tonight. Wow. All right, Robbie, show us some bloopers.
Hey friends, David Burns here. I want to talk to you today as we work a hive. I want to address the issue of why beekeeping could be bad for your health. Hey everybody, David Burns, good to be with you. I'm going to do that over.
I was looking at
Something wrong?
Yeah, I don't know I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. I don't know if I can do this again. That was perfect. Oh, okay, here we go. Okay. Da, 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 da.
Testing 1, 2, 3 on mic check. Testing 1, okay. Okay, we're on camera battery number 3, thanks to Sherry.
All right. Well, there's a few bloopers when you can see when things don't go right. You know, we had a great time with Carrie and her daughter Willa at the bee yard on Tuesday. They came all the way from Colorado. They're here tonight on the live stream, and they were so great. And I've been having a few more guests that will come and I'll help train them and work them through hives and all. And we had our share of bloopers. I think everybody that comes out while we're filming are surprised at how much time and energy goes into making a video, because, you mess up or the bees didn't cooperate and you have to get a new battery or a new memory card. I know you don't want to know how the sausage is made, but it's really challenging. Let's give another cup away. And let's see, I think if we use cup again, I think maybe everybody that already said it before might have a chance. I don't know if that's true or not, but let's do another cup giveaway for the Beak Squad tonight. Beak Squad cup coffee. And these are nice cups, by the way. Very nice cups. Yep. So just leave hashtag cup in the comment section, be your chance to win a cup. I made a video, published it. What day was it? Yesterday, I believe. And I came up with a formula so it can help all of you know how much honey you need to leave on your hive for the winter. Robbie's going to change that, I'm sure. But, we need to really understand that there's a formula that might just work. And I made a video on how that formula is going to help us understand how much honey we need to leave on our hive this winter. So if you haven't seen that video, I want you to be sure and check that video out. It's a video that says, something like how much to leave on your hive for winter. So be sure and look at that video. All right. Robbie is drawing again. Yeah, that worked. All right, here we go. All right, Gene. There you go, Gene. So email us within 24 hours, and we ship these only in the U.S. We can't ship them really far away. So if you live beyond the U.S., then we'll substitute something else for you, like one of our classes or something. So thanks so much for participating. Yeah. All right, we got some more time for some more questions. More beekeeping questions that boggle your mind. Could you clean out old equipment with bleach? Bleach will clean out some things, but not the things that concern us the most. We oftentimes think that, but no, it's not going to do much for American foul brood and European foul brood and those things. It takes a scorching fire to kill those spores. So I don't trust bleach with stuff like that. No. All right. Treated my double deep with Formic Pro strips. Queens are doing great. 2 weeks later, no queen, no eggs, and bottom deep completely empty. Did the queen die or swarm? Treated September the 1st. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I have no way of saying. It might be related to the strips and it may not be, right? Sometimes that very thing that you mentioned happens without normally, without doing anything to your bees. You would think they would have left really quickly when you first treated them. If it was the strips, I would think that they would have been gone within days of the strips. So I'm as puzzled as you are. It sounded like they absconded for some other reason, if other things may have been going on. Yep. Don't forget, tomorrow, Friday, I have a green answer chair video coming out. So be sure and watch that. Going to be answering a lot of YouTube comments. Hey, Elizabeth, I inspected my hive this week and it's almost all empty of resources. I have 3 medium boxes on the hive, only about 1 to 3 frames of brood, 7 to 10 frames of honey. What should I do? I am confused. 7 to 10 frames of honey, but empty of resources. That seems like 2 different things to me. It sounds like 7 to 10 frames of honey. Let me do the math real quick. 7 to 10, that'd be 38 pounds of honey that you have on board. You have 3 frames of brood. I think that sounds good. I'm perplexed. It's almost all empty of resources. Those resources are your honey, 7 to 10 frames of honey. Well, I must misunderstand your question, Elizabeth. It sounds like to me they're not in bad shape. You'll have to give a little more input. Shane's World. When you use a quilt board, should you remove the inner cover or leave it and just set the quilt box on top? Also, do you recommend top entrance or not? The quilt box or the hot box needs to be, there shouldn't be anything between your quilt box and where your bees are, because that box is absorbing the moisture from your bees if you use quilt boxes. So the inner cover needs to come off. Yeah, it really does. You might have a little hole in there, but it's not going to really let much moisture through that little hole. Entrance on the top. I use entrances on my winter bee kind, but it's so small. It's just teeny tiny. It's just passive ventilation. The bees do use it to defecate during the winter, though. Yeah. Well, Tom, thank you so much for your donation tonight. David, it's true. One person shouldn't be your sole source for advice, but you have been my main source for years. My bee yard is smoking hot because of that. Thanks for all you've taught me. Oh, well, thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Oh, I think it's, I get it. I know what you're saying. I'm just saying that don't go by every single thing I say. Be open-minded and accept other things that other people are teaching. There's some things that I may not know about, and I don't want you to miss out on that. Hey, Brian Hill, member for 2 months of my YouTube membership. Thank you for all helping us all improve together. Well, that's nice of you to say. I appreciate it. I want to take one more question, and that is going to be the last question of the evening, because we're coming right up to 8 o'clock. Hey, David from Arkansas. That's where I was born, in Forest City, Arkansas. Have 3 hives. Smallest hive was a midsummer split off the others. Ooh, okay. Great queen, all 10 frames filled. Can I give them a filled super off other hive for room food for winter? Absolutely. Yes. If your other hive can spare it, that'd be great. Give them that filled super. That'll help them all the more there in Arkansas, where you have just a tiny winter compared to my winter. Well, guys, we've another night spent here Thursday night on the live stream. Got to tell you, I appreciate you guys so much. I really do. If I didn't have the opportunity to interact with you and to talk with you, it would be hard for me to keep making videos because, looking at a camera, you don't feel like you're talking to anybody, but I can relate with you guys. We're a community. We see each other. We're friends. And I'm getting to know more of you some of you have been coming out to the bee yard with me. I'm getting to know you personally. That's a whopper. I'm a real personal kind of guy. I have a very, I'm a person that likes being around other people. And so making videos is hard when you're that kind of personality, but being on the live stream and seeing you guys here tonight, it does so much for all of us. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It means the world. You mean the world to me. You're the best. All of us here, from Sherry, Robbie, and Jessica, and myself, we want to thank you tonight for being on the live stream and just enjoying it with us. And I hope the next week is going to go really well for you. I hope you're looking forward to all the things that bees are going to offer you in the next few weeks. See you in the next video. See you in the next live stream. Have a good week.